Hey everyone, it's Brett,
And I'm Brad.
and we're bringing you guys the deck profiles we said we'd bring. Uh, Something I'd like to mention first is that all these decks and every deck you ever make should actually be catered probably to the event you're going to, meaning that you should build it specifically to counter what you think you're going to play against. Because obviously, this won't be nearly as relevant a week from now or 2 weeks from now with the new ban list and with new matchups. For instance, this Aaron was specifically for the Colossalist lock that Necros does, and having a main deck out to it. So keep that in mind when you're seeing these. But I just wanted to show you. I'm going to show you four profiles. I'm going to show you the one I won the regional with, the Nats one, the glow up control build I made, and I call it Infernoids, and this is trademarked by James Dooley. He topped Nats this year. He's my friend. So shout out to him. Uh, so let's go through this. At Nats this year, my idea and hope was to only play against Necros and Klee. It was kind of bad logic because I didn't really give BA as much credit as I should have. I got lucky, only played against one BA though, because I did get through a lot of Necros and Klee matches very quickly. I actually never lost to Necros or Klees with this deck at Nats this year. And that is between the regional and the day one of Nats when I got to round 7 at. Um, so yeah, so the main deck monster count in this is at 5, and the ratio of normal summons is 2 level 3s and 3 level 4s. They were usually going to call level 4, and my idea was to sometimes punish Necros decks that didn't really know how Infernoids worked with an Ancient Sacred Wyvern, and it worked out exactly like that. Pretty much every single match, it worked really well. The one main deck Galaxy Cyclone was actually for rogue matchups in case I got any, which I didn't. So that wasn't nearly as good. The other hope was that I could pop my own skill drain if I needed to, which it did do a good job at that. Also mistakes sometimes, so you can actually use this to clear your own back row once it's in the graveyard if you need to go off. And I think I ended up doing that like twice, so that was good. The Book of Eclipses were also specifically for the Jin lock. I chose those over Dark Hole because um, the Dark Hole can be stopped by Gungnir in addition to Lance, whereas this can only be stopped by Lance. And not many Necros players played Lance at this event because it really wasn't that relevant of a choice, I don't think. So I think this was the better main deck choice, and I sided in all the hate after I was fully aware of what I was playing. Furthermore, this does do a lot of work against a lot of other decks too. So it allows me to OTK through stupid things, and
And
it
prevent OTK.
and prevent OTK sometimes. For instance, it also one time I had like a level 4, a level 3, and I think a level 2 on the field. Um, and I think that I had a really bad hand, and I Book of Eclipsed and set his whole field, and my whole field flipped up. He drew at the end phase, and then I popped his whole field. And then I normaled a raid and an OTK'd. And yeah, so Book of Eclipse can do a lot of work because if it keeps these things alive, each time these live a turn, you get +1, assuming they have the respective card to interact with. By that I mean like Harmdick has a monster to pop, Petrula has a spell or trap to destroy. You get what I mean. Uh, the 1 Inuku 2 Deviety, a lot of people do 1 and 1, and I really wanted to see Deviety at this event for the Klee matchup because I'm not maining really any Pendulum hate or heavy back row hate because I wanted to have a good Necros matchup. But Deviety kind of let me simultaneously have a good Necros matchup and a good Klee matchup as long as I could see her. And she actually won me all the Klee matchups pretty much because I would just the game would be stall until I got a field nuke or a back row nuke, and then OTK was usually the game plan, or take control of the game from there. So the 3 mistake in the main definitely really hard against Necros and Klee. Mistake's actually going to probably become more relevant, although some people have talked about it getting hit, and I really hope it doesn't because it's a really balanced floodgate, in my opinion, compared to some of the others. Like Vanity, you can't freaking play the game if you play a special deck. Whereas with this, you can. There's a lot of outs in the main deck to destroy this that can be made with the extra deck still because it doesn't prohibit you from going into there. It just doesn't let you search, so it decreases the consistency of decks rather than like actually makes them like completely shut down. Except in the case of Necros, where pretty much the whole deck was built around searching. But they even can make a Diamond Dire decently well under or Castell to get rid of this. So for the side deck, we got two Fiend Grieving. This was for the BA. Fairy Winds for Cleese. Shared Rides for going first against Necros. If I won game one, I sided these in, assuming they'd make me go first. MSTs for pretty much any deck that could side in an Iron Wall or some type of thing. Dark Holes for more outs to the Jhin lock and Rogue decks. Spell Canceller, sacked a lot of Necros with this, with Reasoning, was great. Jinzo, I hit a Jinzo off of Reasoning against a Klee player. Instantly won the game right there because I locked down 4 back row. He tried to chain lose a turn, which is kind of funny. Like, nah, man, Jinzo don't give a shit. By chaining it, his effect's continuous, so it doesn't actually have to activate and resolve, for those of you wondering. Lila's for the Klee matchup. I would side out Aaron because Aaron's totally useless against Klees. Aaron was useless against every deck except Necros and BA to an extent, but I had a keeper in there thinking I'd play only Necros, and it was the right choice because I did play a lot of Necros, I believe. I didn't have a Chaos Hunter at the time, but I definitely would have ran it. I got 2 Infernoid mirrors and Nats, which sucked because I didn't have a Chaos Hunter. You want this for the mirror. And I wanted this before Nats, I just couldn't find one. I think my last one was a 3rd Fairy Wind right now, or my Hunter was a 3rd Fairy Wind, but it definitely was supposed to be this. So, for the extra deck choices, I got pretty standard, mostly cards I've shown you guys. This is for stealing Big Guy's actual objective in there was actually just to steal a a decisive armor, and it ended up stealing exactly 1 decisive armor, which was pretty hilarious. The Necros decisive armor, for those who don't know. Mecha Phantom Beast, I've shown you guys how much I love this card, how much synergy it has with the deck. Creates those control boards when I'm going first, and have a great reasoning mill, so it definitely has an awesome spot in the deck. Lavabo Chain was for being able to get to my Deviatee. I was really afraid of not being able to get to my Deviatee, so Lavabo Chain gave extra assurance of that. Gemini Pearl, because I've talked about how much I love this card. OTKs, Field Nuke. Felgran was for control boards when going first, or just needed to get 2 Antondels off the board, either or. Diamond Dire for more removal. Castell is pretty much a generic rank 4. Wasn't too much thought on this one. It's just a really good card. Stardust Spark again was that control build that I was planning on doing. Going first. Scrap Archune for OTKs. I've talked all about Clearwing to you guys too. Love that card. I'm probably only going to go over the extra deck once for most of these, except for the unique choices to each. And these 2 cards are also, I feel like I've talked about them enough that you can just understand why they're in there. Glow Up Control. This was the glow up bulb idea I had, and I haven't ran this at an event. I ran it on here and had some fun with it. I don't think it's nearly as good as the other ones, but I think with the right build, it actually probably could be. Glow Up Bulb's a great target to hit right now because it can actually. It's a really small engine card because it still mills 1 more from your deck, which is pretty cute. And it can make 2 synchro plays, preferably these guys, which is awesome. Especially if you have that Draco sack to 2 of these plus a Infernoid boss play, then you instantly win. Especially if you have a back row with that. So that's really cool. That's the only unique thing in this build, other than the Trooper. When you have Trooper in here, you're gonna wanna, if you're gonna main deck either Dark Hole or Eclipse, always do Dark Hole if it's with Card Trooper because it turns them into an upstart. Pretty much, which is awesome. So this is what I won the regional with, and again I went heavily mained and sided for the Necros and Klee matchup, except a little less. As you see, I took out the mistakes because I was expecting to play more BA and Shadal because it was not a national event. So I didn't expect to play as heavy of a percent of Cleese and Necros. Except I did only play Cleese and Necros. Um, but yeah, it was in the side still, so it still put in work. These were all still the same. Book of Eclipses were switched for Dark Hole in this build because I was playing the Trooper. 4 normal summons in this one. I didn't want to do Aaron because I was having some consistency issues. Lumina. I didn't put in Illumina because I was having some consistency issues with the Nats build. I felt like with Lumina, basically drawing Lumina first is terrible, and I basically eliminated that by eliminating her. And then all the other choices were these. Oh wait, this isn't the right extra deck actually. I did notice this. This is actually Lavavel Chain, and this is Diamond Dyer. And so this is James Dooley's Infernoid build, and this is actually just 3 of every Infernoid. And what this does is, for those of you who are new to Infernoids, is it allows you to just see Infernoids at their craziest. This is the most glass cannon-y deck ever. It is 6, well, actually technically 10 engine cards and 30 Infernoids. The OTK powered here is freaking incredible. It is really, really cool. But obviously it's a glass cannon because there's no removal of any kind other than their effects. So, except for this one Lila. But no other build of Noids will OTK as hard as this if you get any of your engine cards. So that's pretty cool. What this deck does allow, though, which I think is worth mentioning or trying, is if you're trying to get into Infernoids and you don't know what build you like, you start with this, and then you slowly eliminate the cards you don't like seeing on those mills or on those draws, and slowly start putting in what you think you'd rather see on those mills and draws. And I think it helps you create your own deck very well because the 10 engine cards in here are all very good engine cards, and probably not. The builds right now probably need to run some combination of these engine cards. So it basically lets you refine the Infernoid list to exactly what you want, and at the same time start putting in your own text and choices to make the deck personalized to you or to your event. The side deck here, a little bit different because we don't run any back row, so Decree can be ran, especially against super heavy back rows. MSTs for the ever so stupid, what is it, Iron Wall. Magical Spring. I've talked about this card in one of our videos. What this card does is that Tower's Turbo thing is relevant now, and this lets you chain it to Wavering Eyes, so they can't destroy their cards, so they can't search for that last second scout to set up the Tower's play as often. Also, it lets you power through your Infernoids because you'll draw 2 to 4 cards.
You draw 3.
Well,
if they're doing the Wavering Eyes.
Well, if they're doing Wavering Eyes and they had a sacrifice on the field,
you're drawing at least 3.
And they also sometimes run the field spell, so there are potential to draw up to 5. So 2 to 5 is a...
No, there's never 2 because they have Wavering and they have 2.
Yeah. So 3 to 5 cards you'll draw and then discard 1, which is pretty insane, especially considering you don't care what you discard because it's Infernoids. And then they can't destroy spell or traps until the end of their next turn, which gives you 1 turn to OTK them, so make good use of it, but considering you just drew 5 cards, you should also have no problem OTKing them. Does that make sense? The Tragodia actually can steal Cliffort Towers in this deck, so you side that in, because you can discard an Inuku and steal towers. Very hilarious. Not actually competitive. Hilarious, though, and fun. This build it's called Infernoids because it's for fun. Again, congrats to James Dooley he topped Nats this year. He went in my car, drove most of the way.
He didn't run this.
He did not run this. He ran Burning Abyss. But him and Mark Miller came up with a Burning Abyss deck. Shout out to Mark, too. We had a great time at Nats. And now we're all pretty excited about, all 3 of us are really excited about Infernoids, especially the new support, which is the... I don't have a solid OCG build yet. I thought I'd show you guys these. This is heavy normal summon.
But we kind of showed them last time.
Yeah, we kind of showed them. So here's 2 OCG builds. You could just pause and look at what I have right now. I'm not particularly huge on either of them right now because I'm still playing around with what I like and how, especially because the next format, we have no idea what we're going to be playing against. So like specific tech choices are kind of hard to make when you don't know that yet. So there were those. So that pretty much is all the decks that I've ran competitively or semi-competitively and had success with, and would at least semi-recommend to you guys. So thank you guys all for watching, and have a great day.
See you guys later.